I'm about to get dressed for the day, but I just wanted to pop in and say I am so proud of all the people who are perfect, who grew up in households that were full of butterflies and la la land, who were taught to love themselves and who were taught to leave at the first sign of abuse. But for a lot of us, that was not the case. Hi, my name is Rosie of the RosieXperience, and I call myself a voice for the voiceless. I recently took part in Trendsetters podcast, right? And there's a lady named LaTanya Baker, and she was interviewing me about my life story. I'm in the process of publishing a book about my life. I have grown my social media platform tremendously by sharing my testimony as an abuse survivor, and I speak up on the things that abuse victims who are still in the victim mentality, still in the victim mindset, are scared to speak up about, right? So not only have I built my platform by sharing my experiences, but also by defending people who are voiceless, who feel unheard, who feel like their opinions and their struggles don't matter, because there are a lot of people who are going to judge them because of the things they went through rather than learning from the things that they went through. And when I took part in that podcast, people really started to show their colors. Really started to show their colors. And let me break down a little bit the things that some people don't really understand, but it's okay, because the people who do understand and who do get it, that's who this is for. So one of the things I said in the podcast, let me go back and get the clip, baby.
Married to my first husband for almost 7 years. And he was abusive, but nobody knew, because he was kind of like I'm going to hang out with the family. I'm going to be around you all the time, but I'm going to hit you in spots that the bruises don't show. Mm-hmm. So nobody knew what was going on. He also was a cheater. Nobody knew any of that. But we were taking care of my nephew together, and that was one of the main reasons I wouldn't leave him, because he was...
Okay, let's start there. That snippet, that 30-second snippet, caused me to have to block some people, because I went and read the comments and I'm like, wow, y'all didn't even take the time out to go and watch the whole 23-minute video. But I realize this is a digital age where a lot of people only have 30 seconds to spare in their mind. They'd rather watch a million 30-second videos than go sit and watch a full 23-minute video. So I get that, right? But if you chose not to do the research to figure out what exactly I was saying, what made you feel like your opinion on a 30-second video determined how dumb and ditzy and stupid me and other abuse victims are for staying for as long as I stayed? And also, saying you chose that bomb is another thing. I'm like, yeah, we choose a lot of things that we don't want. Sometimes you go to the car lot and you choose a car and you don't know it's a lemon until you take it home. But guess what? They won't give you your money back, so you got to go sue them. You got to go sue them. That's equivalent to calling the police on somebody when you find out they're abusive, but you didn't know they were abusive at first. Okay? So when you are in a victim mentality, in a victim mindset, it's typically because of the way that you grew up. You were not taught to defend yourself. So for all of those who are like, well, I would have been out from the first sign, you probably would have. You probably would have. But if he's already living with you before you get the first sign, if he already knows where your whole family stays, if you're already trauma bonded to him, if you already love him so much and you hate the fact that he grew up in a household where he was never heard and you hear him, where he was not nourished properly and you nourish him, where he didn't even know his father and you helped him find his father. If he grew up in a household where a lot of things like this were happening to him and you were the opposite of what he grew up with, you feel a trauma bond, a connection. You feel like he needs me. And then when I said us taking care of my nephew was the reason why I wouldn't leave, I never said that was the only reason. And if you would have watched the full interview, you would have saw that that was not the only reason. My family dynamic is something that's outlined in my book. I'm not going to get into that on this video. But just know that I have a sister who has 3 children who I've helped with since they were all born. But her oldest son has been living with me since he was a baby. He's about to be 13 next month. My nephew was living with me before my ex-husband started living with me. So when he moved in and he started to help out with him, yeah, he wasn't working, but he was staying at home with him before he was old enough to go to school. And he was protecting him. And he was actually helping me out with a lot of things with him. We taught him how to read together. We taught him how to spell his name together. We taught him a lot of things together. So does that diminish the fact that he was abusing me? No. But my first abuser was not as blatantly abusive as my second abuser was. So I did not feel the urgency to leave him. Yes, he was a cheater. Yes, he would get mad and choke me sometimes. But he was not abusing me every single day. like the next abuser I got, who I blatantly knew I can't stay with you at all because you are literally verbally and physically abusing me every single day. That does not diminish the abuse that I went through for those 7 years with my ex-husband. But what I'm saying is it was easier to stay with him because I grew up in a household where my mom was being treated exactly how he was treating me. My father was the one working, and then when my father got sick and got a disability check, he wouldn't allow my mom to work. So my father was the only one bringing money into the household, but he was very controlling and he was abusive as well. So I grew up watching a woman take care of 5 kids and deal with being abused but still not go anywhere. So I was in 2 abusive relationships, but this specific clip was talking about my ex-husband. But after I finally left him, he came back and tried to unalive me, which was what I thought was going to happen if I left him anyways. Took my daughter and my nephew to a domestic violence shelter. While I was in the shelter, started dating someone else and wound up pregnant. And that's how my second abuse happened, because before I got out of the shelter, this man was already helping me find another place. Telling me he wanted to live with me and help me take care of our baby and all this other stuff. Were there red flags? Yes. Did I notice the red flags? No. Because I was just now getting out of a relationship that held me down since I was 19. So I was 25 in a new relationship. Like, yeah, he's not my ex-husband. He's not abusing me. He's not this. He's not that. He cares about me. Moved in with me, started beating the crap out of me. Pulling guns on me. Calling me out of my name. Then I found out that another girl was already pregnant by him. And he moved out of her house to move into mine. I had no idea of any of this. But this man was so crazy that he would tell me he's going to unalive me. He's going to unalive my daughter. He's going to unalive my family. He's going to shoot me in the stomach so that his baby could die. He would say all this stuff to me. He would break everything in my house and tell me if I left him, this is what was going to happen. Was he capable of that? I don't know. Was I ready to risk that? No. So I stayed with him for 3.5 years. So that's almost 11 years of my life. I was tied down by 2 different abusers. It might not make sense to you. You might not understand how I got there. You might feel like I should have been and left. But that wasn't your story. So if you're watching someone's story and they're trying to give you a deep dive into the victim mindset that they had and the way that they used to live and the way that they used to think, that shows strength. Because there's some chapters of your story, of your life story, that you would never read out loud. I'm reading all mine out loud. That takes a lot of strength. So for anybody who is a naysayer or who feels like, oh, why would she say all that? Trust me, I got some cousins. I got some people in my family who watch everything I post but will never comment. Who watch everything I post, who gossip about everything I post but will never say anything positive to me. Who follow me on all social media but wouldn't even talk to me if we were in the same room. So I really don't care if someone who doesn't know me is a naysayer, because I have people with the same blood as me who are naysayers. But what I will say is that I love everybody enough to share my testimony so that if you are going through something anywhere near this, you will get out. Please don't take the road I took. Please don't take as long as I took. Please don't deal with the things that I dealt with, because there's somebody else who needs to hear this. There's somebody else who is dealing with this right now who feels like if I leave, he might. No. If you don't leave, he's going to hurt you. If you don't leave, he just might kill you. While I was dealing with my ex, let me tell you a story that happened. Back to back, there was a guy I used to go to school with. He went to the army, came back from the army. His girlfriend tries to leave him because he's acting crazy. He kills her and himself. Couple weeks or months later, a girl I used to go to school with was big pregnant, about 9 months pregnant. Broke up with her baby daddy because he was abusive. He comes back to her house and shoots her. Unalives her and the baby in her stomach. So you tell women that they should leave, right? But you never give them an escape plan. I give you an escape plan. Domestic violence shelter saved me 4 times. The first time saved me from my ex-husband. Yeah, saved me. Did I wind up in another situation? Yes, but guess what? When I finally left him, broken ribs and all, I took all 4 of my kids to a domestic violence shelter out of state. It's been 2 years. Never, ever gonna ever be back with him. He has no access to me, and even if he did try to find me, he's going to jail. So there is absolutely no reason why I wouldn't share my testimony with women and men who need to hear that there is a way out, because I was once in that sunken place. I was once allowing an abuser to control my mind, my heart, my body, my soul. But that's no longer my story, and it don't gotta be yours either. Thank you for listening. My book will be published soon. Keep looking out on all my socials. The Rosie Experience.